Energy, the interactive podcast providing resources for building a better life. I am Zena Shea. I'm your conduit, your coach, and your catalyst to that better life. A coach draws out hidden potential, a conduit makes connections, and a catalyst sparks change. So I am here to connect you to some wonderful interviews. I have with me today the lovely Lola
Hi, how are you?
and Soup the poet.
Already.
And we are here to talk about benefiting yourself by benefiting others, the law of giving and receiving. And so, growing up in church, you might already want to turn us off, but don't, because this is not just about money. This is about the whole flow of life. Nature, when you wake up in the morning, the sun is shining. The wind is blowing and everything around you is giving to you. And inside your body, your blood is flowing. It's giving you life.
Mm-hmm.
And if your blood were to stop flowing, you would start to have some problems. There would be parts of your body that would begin to die because there's no flow. Life
True.
is about flow. It's about giving and receiving, sowing and reaping. It's a natural thing. And let me ask you something,
Yes.
Miss Lola, lovely Lola.
Yes.
What is more important, inhaling or exhaling?
They both have the same benefits, and we need both of them to interact with each other. So I'm gonna have to say both of them.
Exactly.
I can't do one without the other.
You can't do one without the other.
I can't do one without the other.
That's about giving and receiving too. You know, if you have something to give and you're blocking yourself off from giving, then you're actually blocking yourself off from your blessings. You're blocking yourself off from receiving. So you have to be able to let things flow through you, including the fact that actually all of us were born as a gift. We came to this planet to give something and not just to take, because none of us wants to be around somebody that always receives, because we don't call them receivers, we call them
Takers.
But also we don't want to be around somebody that's constantly giving, because we know eventually they're going to resent it.
Yeah.
We know eventually they're going to get burned out. And so there has to be that flow of giving and receiving.
It's a very important balance. It's a very important balance because although giving has so many great impacts, receiving, you have to be careful how you give to people, because some people can't meet that reciprocity. They get stressed out behind that reciprocity. So there has to be an even balance of giving and receiving. And like when you said giving and takers, there has to be a balance on how you give too, because givers have no limit. Some givers have no limit, and takers definitely. Takers, so there has to be a balance for it to work right, for you to reap the benefits of giving, because the benefits of giving, everybody wants good health.
Yes,
everybody wants good health. Giving, it's a stress reliever.
yes.
Just like if you know that if you reap something, you plant something, it's going to give you something back. The more you plant, the more you give back. And that's why it's a lifestyle and not just for the season. Although this is my favorite time of year. My favorite time of the season, because it's all about family. It's all about showing the love to your family that you've been showing to others all year long. It's just a natural extension of yourself. So it is like a lifestyle that you do. It's not something that you can turn on and turn off. I remember you put like a quote in there that said, when you were doing the promo, that if this is your only season of giving, you've missed the entire point. Missed the entire point.
Right, because I know that being a Black woman, sometimes we get afraid of being the giver, and we get afraid that people are going to take advantage of us, or that we're not going to receive at the same level. But at one point I had to release that, and I had to trust that the universe had me, God had me. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm giving then it's going to come back. It may not come back from that person.
Mm-hmm.
And there was
And
never
see,
a promise that it was going to come back from that person.
That's the point right there. That's where the balance and the reciprocity and all that comes in, because just because you give to someone doesn't mean that that's that someone that's going to give you back. That's why it's a lifestyle, and you have to look at it from you can't count it, but it's almost like it creeps up on you, because you were like, "Dang, we solved, this got solved," or I was stressing about this and this got solved, which you even though you live the daily principle, you still kind of worry about, or not worry about, subconsciously think about, oh my God, where is this going to come from? Oh my God, that's where that faith kicks in. That's where you have to believe in what you sowed. And there is work behind that. There is work behind that. But see, you have to give with a purpose. Yeah. That's where you can release all that other stuff from, because you have to give with a purpose. You gotta give, and you will receive with a purpose as well. So that's the mindset that you have to keep from stressing yourself out. Keep from stressing yourself out, whether you're going to be able to meet the reciprocity of the other person. The other person starts questioning, why are you being, why is this person, just like giving to me, and you have to have that kind of balance when you're doing it. A lot of times when I help someone, I'm always helping people that our society says as forgotten. I don't have to shine a light on my giving, because like we talked earlier, you're like, I'm the behind the camera type person, you know what I'm saying? But I'm always there when you need me, you know what I mean? I mean, that's how I look at kind of giving. I don't have to have my name on everything, but if I just touch somebody, or if it the person that I helped somebody else and it made a way for somebody else, I'm good with that.
Yeah, a lot of times people talk about the circle of life, and they talk about it in a competitive sense, in a dog eat dog kind of sense, but they don't see that there's that alternate side to it, that this, like, for example, a tree gives us oxygen, we give it carbon dioxide. We put a seed in the ground, it grows up and gives us food, and then we eat that food and we excrete what we excrete, and it goes right back into the ground to fertilize the ground. We don't think about, if there was no circle of giving, nothing could happen. I mean, nothing. If you stop putting all the seeds in the ground, we're all gonna die.
Pretty much.
Because we have to give the earth something to work with.
Exactly.
And I remember hearing somebody say, if you say nothing's happening in your life, what are you giving the universe to work with? What are you giving the universe to work with? Have you put any seed out there? Have you put anything in the ground? Because if you haven't put anything in the ground with faith, expectancy, right, that it's going to bring a harvest, then what do you expect? What you expect is going to happen magically? It's not going to happen magically. You actually have to sow a seed. And I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about time. I'm talking about effort. I'm talking about intention. I'm talking about service.
Yeah.
I heard this story the other day, which blew my mind. So this young man was walking by this lady's house, and she said, and this was way back, I think in the 30s. And she said, "Hey, young man, come here. I need you to go and chop some wood for me." And he said, "Okay, yes, ma'am." And he went and chopped the wood, and she said, "I need you to put some of that wood in the fireplace for me." And he put the wood in the fireplace for her. And then she said, "What do I owe you?" And he said, "Nothing, ma'am. Thank you for an opportunity to serve." And he went on about his way. And the maid came out, saw him walking off, and she said, "Ma'am, do you know who that was?" And the lady said, "No." And she said, "That's Booker T. Washington. He's a great educator." And the woman said, "Really?" She said, "Go call him back here." And that woman gave him millions of dollars to build, guess what? Tuskegee Institute, Tuskegee University. Because of his service, because he wasn't expecting anything, because she knew that he had a heart to give. So she wasn't worried about putting her money into him because she knew that he was a giver. He was a servant. He wasn't gonna take it and say, "Ooh, look at all the money I got. Oh my, let me line my pockets. I'm going on vacation. I'm gonna buy me a new car. I'm gonna give me a fur coat. I got some diamonds I can go buy." She wasn't worried about that. She knew that if she gave him this money, it was gonna go into service.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful thing when you can look at somebody's character and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with a giver. I'm dealing with somebody who isn't in it for themselves, and they're not expecting every time they do something that somebody got to pat them on the back. Every time they do something, somebody's got to, you know, raise up a flag and say, "Ha, look at what you did." They're just doing it because it's the right thing to do. I heard Les Brown say, you need to do some things because they ought to be done.
Yeah. Because they have to be done. Yeah. We can't go by and forget about our communities and the people that are in them where we came from, because we're where we are because someone helped us. We're in our positions because somebody gave us a chance. You see what I'm saying? So when someone gave that to you, you have to give it to someone else because you'll still receive more. And that's the concept you have to think about when giving. Also, what you have decided in your heart to give, that's the other health balance from it. You have to decide from your heart what you're going to give in order, not in order to receive the same thing. But sometimes people have a problem with giving because it's like, or not a problem with giving, but a problem with the idea of, oh, I gave so much, and I'm not giving in return. You have to make a decision on what type of giving you're going to do, because you always have to do it with a purpose. You always have to do it with who you're dealing with at what time and why. And that in turn will give you the health benefits that you look for from giving and receiving.
I agree with you. And I'm gonna let you chime in a minute because I'm wondering what's going on in your head. You sit there so quietly. I decided that I was gonna start looking for opportunities to give. So I try to keep, a little extra money on me. If somebody's saying, I pay for my food at Denny's and they got the little, "Would you give $1?" Yes, I'm gonna give $1. Or I'm checking out at Kroger's and they're like, "Would you give $1?" Yes, I'm gonna give $1. Because that dollar is not gonna really make a big difference to me, but it could make a big difference to somebody else. And I just realized that one of the things that changed when I decided I was gonna become a giver is that my mentality changed. Mm-hmm. I stopped thinking about what I didn't have, and I started thinking about all the things I did have. I started thinking about the fact that I actually live in an abundant universe, and if this is what I felt, if God knows that if I get blessed, I'm going to bless, then I'm going to get blessed more, because there's no worry that I'm just going to keep it all to myself. There's the whole idea of, oh, I found me a vessel. I found me a channel. Mm-hmm. I can flow through this person. Mm-hmm. They're not going to sit here and hoard whatever I give them. They're going to actually share what I give them. And even when I created, I'm going to go back to the beginning of Laughs and Lyrics, when I talked to Malik Freedom about what I wanted to do with this show, I said, I want to give a platform for the indie artists. Mm-hmm. It wasn't about Zen. Zen wanted to be behind the camera. Zen wanted to be behind the camera, providing entertainment for the people, because what I saw was that everybody that I work with was stressed out. Mm-hmm. Everybody that I work with didn't know where to find good quality entertainment. Now, there's some out there, but some people are nervous about certain things. They may not want to go to a place with a whole lot of smoking and drinking and whatever. They may want to have a a different atmosphere.
Mhm.
And so there were times when I could create shows that were very, I'll say, tame. They were very nice and tame. And some people would come out to that and they wouldn't necessarily go to the improv, even though the
Mhm.
improv has amazing entertainment, because they were nervous. But they were like, okay, she's got these entertainers. She's told me a little bit about them. It's gonna be all right. I can go out and I can relax. And I wanted to have the no holds barred shows, and I wanted to also have the we can have it at the museum show.
Yeah.
I wanted to have that
That
balance so that we could have an outlet for a lot of different kind of people and have an outlet for a lot of different kind of artists. And I also wanted the artists to feel very comfortable being able to just share their art. And I remember when I came and talked to Kay, who's my co-host, I said to her, I said, I don't know exactly how this is going to go. I don't know what I'm going to make. I don't know if I'm going to make anything. I was like, so I don't know what, if anything, I could pay you. And you know what she said? We're not gonna worry about that right now. We'll deal with that later. And the first several shows she worked and she didn't get paid to host, And then later I had to come back. But see, talking about giving, she had a giving heart. And because she had a giving heart, everybody and their mama was like, I want you to host this. I want you to host this. I want you to come here. Here, we pay you to come here. Come to Atlanta. Come to. And she's gotten so many opportunities. But see, she made those opportunities because number one, she's extremely good at what she does. And number two, she had a giving heart. And so again, when you give, blessings come. That blessing didn't come from me when she gave to me. I mean, I did pay her eventually later, she was getting paid for every show, but that was not where the blessing came from. It came from all the people in the audience who said, come here, come here, come here, come here. And when she made that statement, she didn't know.
Yeah.
She's just doing it out of the goodness of her heart. She's doing it as a servant. She's doing it because she saw the ability to bless other people, and so I just encourage people, don't always look at right now, today, can I see where I'm going to get blessed? You're not going to see where you're going to get blessed.
That's where the lifestyle part comes in.
Yeah, you have to put the seed in the ground and then just let it work. And then again, like I said, all the artists that came on our show, some of them sold tickets, some of them made money, some of them some of them made some really good money. And some of them came just to give their gift. You know what I'm saying? And what did they get out of it? They got all the applause and the love, and they got the release, and they got that whole feeling of, this is my purpose, and I'm walking in my gift. And that's a beautiful thing because, Maslow's hierarchy of needs says we have to have a feeling of purpose. People that are rich will kill themselves because they feel like they have no purpose. So purpose can actually be more fulfilling than money.
Yeah.
So.
And then there's that you don't even know who you helped.
That's true.
Then there's that you don't even know who you helped, which is even more beautiful because you'll probably wouldn't find that out until later on, which it'll be a blessing when you need it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So what's going through your mind about this idea of giving and?
Well, see, like with me, with like I'd say like my poetry, because sometimes certain poems I do, is deep, like for things I've been through or going through, and like get that message in the inbox, like, man, I was going through the same thing, and just by you expressing yourself, it helped me release myself. So it was like almost like like sometimes I do poems and don't know why, or like know something I hadn't been through, but I can put myself in that position to see what I would do to get out of that position, or whatever I got myself into, and a way to get out to somebody else that didn't see the same way I did.
Yeah, sometimes you don't know why you do things. Sometimes it's just intuition. Sometimes it's just the spirit moving on you, but like when you perform it, when you give it, it's like, oh, that's why that happened. That's why I did that. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
And it gives you that feeling of, wow, okay, I am being guided, I am being led, because look at what happened because I did this. Look at what impact it had, and just being open to give, so when you saw like the list of topics on the podcast one, what made you pick this topic as what you wanted to talk about tonight?
Uh, um, I think the biggest thing, and I had to write down some stuff because I was looking at the topics. Um, I was looking at your topics that you went through, and the reason why I chose that one was because it was natural.
Mm,
It was a natural topic for me because it's something that I do every single day, whether it just be in in our business or when I work. It's just it's a natural thing. So it was a natural topic for me to pick. It was my purpose. I went right to it. I went right to it.
awesome. Okay. And so tell us a little bit about your business, about what you do.
Well, I wear several hats. What we have, I have a publishing company. I started a publishing company back in 2000. It's called Motivation Point Publishing. Um, and well, back in 2000, it was calling me back up. It was called Desktop Publishing. And what I did was I did like freelance writing, ghost writing for people. Computers were really hot then. I was doing resumes and stuff like that, and publishing a lot of different little things and writing. And it started getting really busy. I wanted to expand on it, but my family was young, so I kind of put it on the back burner and took some time out. Wrote a biography and of my life, and uh, went through different episodes in my life. Always wanted to come back to it. I love the written word. Um, Collaborated with some people to do some publishing and stuff, but then I had to put it on the back burner to help because my family was growing. Um, and it took up a lot of my time, so I kind of like put it on the back burner. And once I moved to Texas and I had a change of life, I decided to get back into it. So um, I publish any. I actually published my husband's poetry book. I've published right now in the works. We have an erotic book with a client that's coming up right now. Yolan, he was on your show last week. Also published his book. So we do different things like that. I ghostwrite under that umbrella of Motivation Point as well. Words are very powerful. They always have been. Um, they uh, created an atmosphere of help for me when I was growing up. Uh, Poetry did. Poetry saved my life. Acting kind of saved my life. I was in small plays, and I think that's where the publishing part came from. I'm a very private person, so I used to journal a lot, and it helped me through a lot of tragedies. And when I met other poets and I met other writers and sharing stories, um, that was one way of us giving back to the community. Um, that expanded into our radio show, Vibing with Soup and Lola, which just basically another level of giving in the community, getting some of the messages out, being part of our ancestor history of keeping our history fresh, keeping some of our old lessons fresh, giving back to the new generation, an old message in a new time. Um, Motivation Point, uh, Motivation Point Resource Center is a nonprofit organization that we actually started researching back in 2018 and trying to expand on it as far as our outreach arm of the Motivation Point umbrella. And that is basically really near and dear because it is a place, the motivation point, and we were building it as a lot of things were happening as COVID sunk in. So COVID stopped a lot of things that we had been working on, but of course, working behind the scenes to kind of get ready for 2021. Motivation Point Resource Center is a resource for alternative education. And what we call alternative education is even myself with growing up, there are those ones that do not benefit from the traditional education, or we want to capture what we would normally call at risk adults and children. The Resource Center is a place where you can come. We want to be able to help you still be an active member in the society, whether you are learning a trade, getting a certificate for a trade, whether you are building your craft, whether it be writing, singing, dancing, a place to where whatever you need, whatever our community needs, we can be able to supply it. Education now is like the biggest thing, because with us going through this COVID, there's going to be a gap that we as a community need to fill, because we're going to be living in the world with the next generation running those things for us. And think of where we're going to be if we plant those seeds and make the forgotten ones, what we call them, or what society calls people, ones that may not have those resources to go to the next level. If we bridge that gap in our communities, we have keep our communities replenished with active members of society. That's a huge level of giving back, because if our community, if we forget about the ones that won't be able to have the same resources as the next person, they'll burn down the village. If they don't feel like they're part of the village, they'll burn it down, and it's up to us to take care of everybody that's out there.
Yeah, you're bringing up a couple of there's all these sayings that I'm hearing, like one that you kind of alluded to is, if the young people in society feel cold and left out, they'll burn down the village just for the warmth. And that's a powerful statement, that sometimes people do negative things because
They
don't feel valued, because they feel like it doesn't matter to you. You already say I'm such and such and such. Well, let me show you how bad I can be. And
exactly.
as a teacher, I've definitely seen that. And it reminds me of this story that I heard. I don't even know where I first heard this story, but it was a story about Billy. Now, probably every teacher has had a Billy. When you are getting ready to get your new students and everybody's saying, ooh, let me see your roster. Oh, you got Billy. Oh, God bless you, child. You got Billy. Okay, we gonna pray for you. We gonna fast for you. We gonna set aside a couple of mimosas for you, just for you,
because you got Billy.
Because you got Billy. So this particular teacher had heard these horror stories about Billy, and when he came, he was, he hadn't seemed like he'd showered. He couldn't sit still. He was aggressive. He was trying to fight the kids. He would break stuff on purpose. Just really difficult. And she had pretty much in the first week of school just given up on him. But then something said to her, go read his file. She went back to his kindergarten teacher and read, Billy is the brightest kid in my class. I mean, he's so talented, so amazing. I just am so glad to have him. And she went to his first grade teacher. Billy is learning faster than everybody else. Every goal I set for him, he just blows it out of the water. I'm going to get him tested for gifted and talented. I just think he's going to be someone incredible in life. And then she went to his second grade teacher, and Billy's mother just got diagnosed with a rare illness, and she's really deteriorating fast, and he's acting out, and his father doesn't seem to know what to do with him. His father is so caught up in grief, he seems to be just losing touch with his son. And then the third grade teacher, well, Billy's mother died and his father seems withdrawn, and we're trying to get him all the help that we can, but nothing seems to be working. And then fourth grade, and then by the time she got to fourth grade, she had to stop reading because she couldn't even see the paper.
Yes.
And she said, I'm going to go back and I'm going to teach Billy the best I can. I'm going to love on Billy the best I can. I'm going to give and pour into Billy the best I can. And she began to treat him as if he was really somebody special, and take him aside after class and ask him how he was doing and what was he interested in and what did he want to be, and, you know, try to show him different things, give him little books to read and different things like that. And Billy began to change a little bit at a time, began to take pride in his work and began to come to school, and he was clean and he was nicely showered. And at Christmas, he gave her a half full bottle of perfume. And all the other little kids were laughing, and he said, "Could you put it on, because you're going to smell just like my mama used to smell." And he gave her a rhinestone bracelet with some of the little bracelets, some of the little rhinestones missing. And he was like, "My mama used to wear things like that." And she realized that he didn't have any money to give her. He was giving her things that his mom had. And she kept it. And Billy went on to middle school and high school and graduated, and he would write her. And he would say, "I'm graduating, would you come? I'm graduating from college, would you come? I'm graduating from my medical school, would you come?" And then when he got married, Billy invited her to the wedding and asked her to walk and sit in the place where his mother would have sat. And one day he wrote her a letter and he said, "When I was in your class, I didn't think I was going to make it through school. I didn't think I was going to make it to adulthood. But you showed me, you gave me hope. You gave me a purpose. You gave me inspiration. And now I'm out here and I'm doing this for other kids and I'm doing this for other families." And so sometimes when we give, it could be just encouragement. It could be just hope. It could be inspiration. And the teacher said to him, "Billy, I didn't give you anything. You know what you did? You gave me the ability to teach, because you taught me I wasn't teaching a subject. I was teaching children."
Exactly.
And those children had a history and they were coming out of an environment, and there were reasons why some of them acted the way they did. They didn't know how to deal with that pain.
And just imagine the ones that slip through. The ones that slip through or totally give up and say, "I'm not going back to school." And then they're out there wondering what else to do. And that's what it is so important about the Motivation Point Resource Center. There's going to be a lot of things coming down the pike for 2021, fundraisers, different things to fill that gap. Even now, today, all students, if they're going virtual learning, they don't have money to get a laptop, or schools don't have certain fundings for certain things. And it's up to us. It's up to us to, I'm sorry, listen to her. My children. It's up to us to bridge that gap. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't, I'm sorry. It's up to us to bridge that gap for our communities. And the Resource Center is just like that. It's that alternative education to your story. There was a teacher that actually saw that there was an issue. And there's going to be somebody who's going to fall through the cracks. There's going to be someone who's going to need that help. And we have to have something in our communities to provide that help, because they'll be lost without it. We have to give on another level. We're obligated to leave the world a better place because someone did it for us before we got here, and they're still doing it. And so we should feel obligated to do it for the next generation, which are a mixture of the children that we teach on a daily basis, our kids, our grandkids, their grandkids. It is a continual flow of life and give and take.
I agree with you. You know, it's great to have people that decide I'm going to create something to help in an area where there is nothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and at one point everything that exists didn't exist. At one point there was no Girl Scouts, there was no Boy Scouts, there was no, you know, Cub Scouts, there was no, all of these different little things that we have. That was created because somebody decided to give.
Mm-hmm.
They decided there needs to be a place for these kids to go after school. So I'm going to create an after school center. There needs to be this, there needs to be that. Now, they started small. You know what I'm saying? They started with a couple of kids and then they went from there. But, you know, the thing is, wherever you are out there in Facebook land, we all have a circle of influence.
Mm-hmm.
And like she was saying, we all actually have an obligation to do something positive with our lives. And giving of ourselves, whether it's time, money, energy, effort, you know, if you don't have necessarily the time or the skills that you think you need, because we all think we don't have certain things, but a lot of times we do.
Mm-hmm.
You can sow into the people who are doing something.
Yes.
And that could be the way that you give, you know, but sometimes it's all about just influencing the people in your circle in a positive way, you know. So it's about looking for that opportunity to give, and you were talking about owing something to the people that kept us on the right path and came before us. You know, I wear my father's wedding ring. My father, you know, died 4 years ago. I wear it, you know, on my hand. That's a reminder to me every time I look at it that I owe something to the people that came before me. They didn't just come and live in this world and give me life for me to just say, ooh, I'm going to take care of me. I ain't going to worry about nobody else. You know, they actually gave me life for me to be a positive influence and to be someone that they could be proud of, to leave a legacy. You know, I mean, I know my daddy used to say, when you leave this house, you represented me.
Mm-hmm.
And I took that seriously because I knew his name meant something to it. You know,
I did too. I did too.
Yeah, and that whole idea of if you can open the door for somebody, if you can help an old lady across the street, you know, if you can help somebody well, during COVID, you might not want to help somebody unpack their groceries, but I'm just saying, in general, if you can be helpful to other people and expect nothing in return, that giving heart, that giving spirit is what we need. And if anything, if COVID has taught us anything, people can look at the evil at any time. But I have seen a lot of people during COVID go out of their way to help their neighbors. I have seen people drop off food to the elderly person down the street. I've seen people raise up collections for people. I've seen landlords say, hey, I'm not going to be taking rent. I'm going to give everybody a little hiatus. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I've seen a lot of people think about what can I do to give and then come up with something. There was just an article, I think it was in Atlanta, I could be wrong, about some entrepreneurs who got together and they stood at the front of the register at a grocery store. Like each of them were at, you know, they had like 12, however many. One was at each register. They paid for $40,000 in groceries for Thanksgiving weekend. They didn't have to do that.
Yep.
They did that because it was what they could do to give back. And the people, every time somebody came up there and they didn't actually know what was going on and they saw the olive ring up and they're getting ready to reach in their pocket and that person says, keep your money, I got you. I got it. And the looks that went across those people's faces was like, huh?
And people don't know how powerful that connection is because, like, when you were talking about your dad saying, when you leave this house, you represent me. And your dad sowed all these seeds so you could have support. You remember what that used to be called? It used to be called the village. You're going to get in trouble
Mm.
by this lady if she sees you doing something that you have no business. You go down the street and this one got their eye on you, and that one. He already sowed his seeds because you had support. So like when you were doing something, you knew you could go to this person and say, hey, I'm selling this for whatever, or I'm trying to do this. And there was your seed sowing right there. And then when you saw how that chain gave to you, when you were able to go somewhere, you remembered that when you didn't have it and you saw somebody else in the same position as you, so you started giving support and sowing seeds to someone else, so someone else helped.
I want to talk about my mama for a minute. My mama, she passed May 19th, Malcolm X Day
I
last year.
remember. I remember.
When I grew up, I would come home from school sometimes, and we had an extension to our house. My mom had an office. She had the back 3 rooms of our house were her office. And I remember coming home one day, and one of our church members, he had like 5, 6 kids. They were in the back of the house. And mama was like, he lost his job. They're about to lose their house. They're moving in with us until he gets on his feet. Didn't ask him for nothing. They came and cooked dinner every day. It was good, but my mother, we would be driving down the street. She would see a couple on the side of the road, baby in the basket. She'd say, you guys got someplace to stay for the night? No. She was like, okay, I'm going to get you a hotel for the night. You got some food? No. Okay, we're going to go down the street. We're going to go buy some groceries. That's what my mother did. That's what my mother did. Not, did she get burned a couple of times? Yeah, she got burned a couple of times. But I'm going to tell you, my mother, when my father passed, a lot of financial things happened. But I can tell you, they had that saying, I've never seen the righteous forsaken or their seed out begging for bread. Okay, so my mother would have bills that needed to be paid, and all of a sudden she get this bonus check in the mail. She opened it up. I wasn't expecting this, but thank the Lord. Put that on the bill. Now, people would say, oh, that's coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe that when she was helping that church family, when she was helping that lady on the side of the road, I believe that all of that was seed. And then when she needed it, it came back to her. And it was always just stuff popping up. You know what I'm saying? Even when I went to college, my mother was getting her hair done. And she was getting her hair done at this beauty salon. And this lady was like, I just learned about this program at Jarvis Christian College. And they're looking for students. They're looking for athletes too. And she looked directly at my mama. I think you got a girl. Don't she play volleyball or something? Is she a good student? My mom was like, yeah, my girl's, she's a good student. She's a good athlete too. Okay, well, we need to come see her play. We need to look at her transcript. In the middle of the beauty salon. Okay? Out of nowhere. And you know what? I went to school 2 years for free because of that particular conversation. 2 years of college for free.
Wow.
Because that woman sent a scout, looked at me play, looked at my transcript, said, okay, here's what we can do for you. Had my mama not sown those seeds, I probably wouldn't have been in that college. So I don't know who sent that woman. I don't know how she knew about my mama. I don't even know how she knew about me. I don't know how any of that happened. But then, you know what? The thing is, you don't have to know. All you have to do is sow.
Mm-hmm.
You give the seed, and what does it say? God gives the increase.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So my mama was constantly planting seeds, and I still feel like, they say that we're living on the prayers of our grandmother.
Uh-huh.
I believe that too. I believe that when I was a rebellious, hard-headed, stubborn little teenager, my mama was planting some seeds. I couldn't get away from it. When I got older, all of that stuff came back to me. And every time there was a blessing for me, I was like, oh, I need to pay this forward. Oh, I need to do something for somebody else. I wasn't raised to be selfish. I wasn't raised, so it's all about example. And then the more that you do it, sometimes when you start off, it's a little difficult. But then
the giving part,
the
what's a
giving
little
part can be a little difficult because I think a lot of our society is raised in fear, and we're raised on this idea of competition. We're raised on this idea of we need to look out for number one. And if we're not looking out for number one, nobody's going to look out for us. But having seen my mother, having seen, my grandmother, I saw that if you give, it comes back to you. It doesn't always come back when you expect it or how you expect it, but it does come back. And because of that, I was like, you know what? I know this. I know it every time I look outside in nature. I know it when I look back at my childhood. You know, I know it from my business. You know what I'm saying? I know it because it's just the law. And there were certain things I had to realize were law. It doesn't matter whether you agree with it. It doesn't matter whether you understand it. There is a law of gravity. You don't have to understand it, but if you jump off a building, you will find out. You know, and there's a law of sowing and reaping. If you give, expecting that God is going to give back to you and expecting that you're going to be able to see it multiply, it will happen, but you have to give. You have to sow a seed for it to multiply. So I am really excited about what you're doing with Motivation Point. I'm excited about, you having that support system for people, and I also wanted to bring up,
because you have to remember, let me say this, you have to remember that everyone you help, they don't want people to know that they've been helped. You always have to have that balance. When I say the faceless help, it's not that it's a secret, it's that you have to meet people where they are. You see what I'm saying? You have to meet people where they are at the time that they're there. You know what I mean?
That's true. Speaking of balance, there's something else I wanted to bring up. I mentioned my mother, and sometimes people are not balanced in their giving. And there were times when my mother overgave.
Mm-hmm.
You can overgive.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, everything needs to be done decently and in order.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, for example, you shouldn't be giving away your mortgage and your rent check. You shouldn't be doing that.
Please.
You know what I'm saying? You should be giving, out of the abundance that you have, but also maybe giving some of your splurge money. Maybe take your little, Starbucks money and give that. But don't give your rent money. Don't give, stuff that you need to live. So we have to have a balance. We have to have some wisdom. Because sometimes people think that, I guess, how can I put it? That they're going to make a blessing happen by being reckless. And it doesn't work that way. You can't force a seed to grow just by looking at it and, being all, angsty about it. You have to just let the seed grow. And your desperation doesn't make that seed grow any faster. So you shouldn't be giving out of desperation. You should be giving out of just a joy and a peace and a desire to be a blessing. And then that's when you get that blessing coming back to you whenever the time is right, whenever the harvest comes. That's how you get that. But I also wanted to say, sometimes we give and we don't even know we're giving. Sometimes just
exactly.
Our example is a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another way you can give. Be you, authentically be that person that you were brought to be, because you are a gift just by being here. You're born to be a gift. And if you're giving that gift, that can be a inspiration to somebody else to give their gift. And I wanted to just for a minute, I told you I was going to say this. I always love to see Black love. I always love to see strong Black families. And I always love to see when a couple is working together on their vision and their purpose and their goals. So that makes me feel like it's possible for me to have it, because I haven't had that in my life. I've been married twice, but I never had a partner into working towards anything that I was working towards. We always seem to be going like this, rather than like this. And so that's something that I look forward to, so before we started recording, I used a little term. I called them a power couple. And she said, I don't see us that way. But, I wanted to kind of just talk to you guys or ask you, like, as a couple, how do you think the idea of like giving to each other or giving to the community as a couple, how does that work, or what does that mean for you guys?
Well, for me, on my part, it's like, I don't know, I guess you say, show the fun side of it, and doing things where, you don't have to spend a lot of money and everything that you could just be each other, around each other, and just, show an example, do something that, you would want to see,
You
how
want
to say,
you want to have
yeah,
a reflection.
reflection that so if somebody see like, man, I want to be like them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you giving them like that inspirational idea to help them, be more what they want or whatever.
Because when you said that, I laugh when you call us a power couple, because Super Now, what we do is natural. I mean, like, we're like any other natural couple, but we also have our own personalities and how we do. They just complement each other really well. So when you see us and it looks like we're playing or we're doing this or whatever, and we are having fun, we're working too. You know what I'm saying? So when you say power couple, we totally do not see ourselves as a power couple, but it's a compliment when people say that, you know what I'm saying? Because we do like to have fun. We do. And like I said, when we help people, everybody doesn't want to know that they have been helped, because we meet people where they are at the time that they're there. You know what I'm saying? And then, if we've shown an example and they, it's followed, we've touched somebody. We've done what we're supposed to do. You know what I mean? And It's not always a good thing. I mean, don't get us wrong. I mean, but it's a living. You know what I'm saying? It's a circle, but we can find that balance. As we grow together, we find the balance in it. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny when you say a power couple. I'm like, we totally don't see ourselves as a power couple
a
at
fun
all.
couple,
a
man.
fun couple, but a power couple, nah, totally not us. I think we're too regular. We're too regular to be a power couple.
No, but I think regular. Somebody on Facebook posted this question: what would you do to convince somebody that you're marriage material? And my answer was nothing.
Nothing.
If you can't see me as marriage material because you look at me and you say, oh, she has the qualities I want, then I'm not the one that you want to marry. So I think a power couple isn't about like you not being, in a sense, normal or not being regular. It's about the fact that you amplify each other. And what, one person comes in with their strengths, another person comes in with their strengths, and then the two of you are multiplying your production. And when people look at you, they're like, wow, look at what she's doing, but look at what he's doing, and look at how it's complementing. And they're building together. And I think that's also, some people say, oh, I want to be in a 50-50 relationship. I don't want to be in a 50-50. I want to be in 100%. You bring all that you have. I bring all that I have. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have our own separate time when we go out by ourselves and journal or read or take a walk. Yeah. But you bring 100% of who you are, because that 50-50 thing.
And you have to learn each other, because it's like we may have one goal, but we take totally different avenues to get there. You know what I'm saying? We take totally different, and you have to learn that, you have to learn, okay, I gotta let them take this way, even though I want to go this way or whatever. And then if we meet somewhere where it's not right, that's where we try to fix it together. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But we always try to get to the same goal because we're two different people. We have two different personalities. You know what I'm saying? And that's where the compliment part comes in. That's where the compliment part comes in. But you know, we're always right there in sync with each other. And like I said, we always have the same goal. We may get there differently. And when we learn from the differences that don't work for us, and then we just try to fix it and go ahead. You know what I'm saying? And then things that we have to pray about, we pray about it and leave it alone.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
And move on. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, that's what you can. That's all you can do, especially if you love that person. You know what I'm saying? You find a way to get where you're supposed to be, and then when the other one's weak, one is strong. Another one's weak, the other one's strong. So it's a compliment, not a power couple. It's more of a compliment.
I like you said a lot of things right there. You know, giving a person the ability to completely be themselves is a beautiful thing.
It is.
And also, you know, you were talking about when someone's weak, you're strong. When that other person's strong, you're weak. Giving a person the ability to be weak, that's a beautiful thing too, because sometimes I had Sean Johnson, poet. She wrote something probably a month ago or something on Facebook, and she said, people call me the sun, but want to be upset when I'm not shining.
Woo!
If I'm the sun, then there gonna be times when I'm
not
hidden behind the cloud, when I'm not shining. So even if I am your sun, then realize there's gonna be times I'm not shining. You know, we're talking about giving today, okay? And I told you guys at the beginning of this episode, this was way more than money.
I love that.
Okay?
I'm still on that. I love that because when I think about that, even when I'm not shining, I remember journaling a piece that said, but I'm not afraid of the shade either.
Oh, I'm not afraid of the shade. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of the shade either. I love that. I love that. I think I know Sean Johnson too.
Yeah. She every now and then I see something that somebody writes and it sticks with me because it's profound. It's simple, but it's profound.
Yes,
because
I love
there's no
that.
Misunderstanding that.
None.
There's no misunderstanding that.
None.
If you don't get that, then you deliberately misunderstanding it because it can't get any clearer than that.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say to people, because we are going to wrap up, whatever you want from somebody, whatever you want from life, you need to give it. If you want understanding, then give some understanding. If you want some empathy, give some empathy. You want some compassion, give some compassion. If you want people to be there for you when you're weak, then let them be weak. You know what I'm saying? Be strong for somebody else if you want somebody to be strong for you. We sometimes have this kind of expectation for other people and this kind of expectation for ourselves, you know, but we have to actually be in a reciprocal situation. You need to give what you want to give. And give what you want to get. Because if you're not reciprocating, to be honest, you shouldn't be expecting it. And if you are expecting it, then you're really out of divine order.
Yeah.
Because divine order is to give what you expect to get. If you want blessings, then you got to be a blessing. Point blank. You know, and again, it may not come from the person that you expect it to come from. When my mother, who was probably worried about me going to college, she wasn't knowing that she was going to go to the beauty salon and get her answer. She wasn't knowing that. She just knew that it was going to work out. It was going to work out and something was going to happen. And so the one thing about being a person of faith, and I don't care what religion you are, if you're not a person of faith, you should be a person of faith. Find something to believe in. If it's divine laws of the universe, this is one of them. The law of sowing and reaping. It's a divine law. You don't have to go to church to believe that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't go to church, but I definitely believe in divine laws. All right, so there are things that you can see, young, old, rich, poor, white, black, male, female, in China or here in the United States. They are laws of the universe. This is one of them. The law of sowing and reaping, the law of seed time and harvest, the law of giving and receiving. Whatever name you want to put on it, it's a law. And if you want to flow with it, you will be blessed by it. If you want to try to get something for nothing, you're probably going to get disappointed more often than you succeed.
Pretty much.
Because it just doesn't work the other way. You have to be in that flow. And, you know, when it comes to relationships, it's a beautiful thing when you find that person that's willing to flow with you and give and receive and let that flow. And know that sometimes you may be giving more and you may be receiving less, but it will all equal out in the end.
It will, because
it'll all equal out in the end.
Because you're going to learn so much about not only that person, but yourself. Mm-hmm. And the whole compromise and the whole build thing. So, you can't do anything but win. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's true. Yes. And so I wanted you to tell the people how to find you.
You can find both of us on Facebook, Vibing with Soup and Lola, Night Moods on Facebook. You can also find us on IG, Soup and Lola. My Facebook page, Soup the Poet. He has Soup the Poetician. You can go on there, see his poetry, how to order his anniversary book as well. You can find us also on FB Motivation Point Publishing and Motivation Point Resource Center, all on Facebook. And you'll start seeing at the beginning of the year, and it'll probably start in February and March, our new fundraisers for education coming down the pike. So we have a lot of good things coming up with Motivation Point Resource Center. And I also, I brought you a t-shirt.
Awesome.
Of the Resource Center and the gift bag. I didn't know, it's like a token for you. I didn't know what your size was. So I gave you, we had a walk and some other events. So I brought you the shirt one of the shirts that we had. Yes. Our mascot, of course, the elephant. The elephant is symbolic all over the world for not only wisdom, but luck, success, companionship, and unity, which is why Motivation Resource Center is a community, part of the community. It's part of the unity of our community. So there's going to be some great things coming down the pike with that.
All right. Thank you for the shirt. I appreciate that. I love purple. I love the elephant. I love all of that. And I wanted you to show everybody, he's going to get... She's wearing one of my designs, Poetic Justice Fit Truth.
I love these shirts.
Why do you love the shirt? Just since you said that.
I love the shirt because I love the unity that it shows, and the message, Spit Truth. That whole, the poetic justice, and the spit, just the message with itself, poetic justice, spit truth. It is part of the universe as well. And spitting truth, even though it's not easy to give or receive, it's part of the flow of transparent, and give and take. And that is a big part of giving, is spitting truth, no matter what it looks like. No matter what it looks like.
You're the first person that kind of mentions the unity. If you look at the design on here, it's the heads are enmeshed. Mm-hmm. All right. And, to me, when I came up with this design, it was about, as a people, we need to be on one accord.
Yeah.
As a people, we may be going in different directions, but we still need to be on one accord
at the same mindset.
We still need to have the same vibe, the same energy, and we need to hear each other, listen to each other, but also be spitting truth. Because I can't be on one accord with you if you walking in lies and deception, but I can be on one accord with you if we are all about justice, about creativity, getting that justice in a creative way, maybe even stepping out the box. I do know how to spell justice, guys. I know how to spell justice. But sometimes you need to step outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to create something that doesn't exist to get that justice. You know, it may be a new law, maybe a new platform, maybe a new business, maybe a nonprofit, maybe a new relationship, whatever. You need to, in a sense, step outside that box, you know, go from A to Z to get to where you need to go. And then it's got the microphone, you know, giving each other a platform. And it's got the sword that goes back to the Bible. Sometimes truth is a sword. It cuts.
Yes.
It's not always pleasant to hear the truth. But the truth can also defend you. You know, so that sword, it has that cutting blade, but it also has the ability to defend. So there's a lot going on in this design.
Yes.
There's a whole lot going on.
And what I like is you love everybody, but you never give up your sword. And so I love the picture. That's one thing that I love about the picture is that the one accord, men and women,
right?
You know, us together.
Right.
Even though you know, a long time ago we said men are from women are from Mars, men are from Venus. Well, let's put that language together, and make it make sense. Let's make it make sense on how we need it to make sense, so we can always have poetic justice and we always spit truth.
Right. And I also, there was another,
and there's a time and place for everything.
Right. There's a place for everything. A man is a man. Now I'm saying something you guys think I'm saying like something.
Oh, we get ready to go into a whole nother
show. Man
is
a man and a woman is a woman. Okay. And what I mean by that is, I can't expect a man to think like me, act like me, be like me. He will never be. He was not created to. So if he's facing this direction, seeing things his way, then I may need to listen to him because he's got a different perspective. And if she's facing that way and seeing things her way, he may need to listen to her. You know, the one thing about the African village, when they had leadership, you saw this in Wakanda if you paid attention. When they wanted to get the leaders, they brought the queen mothers out. The queen mothers had to evaluate that man and say, yes, we know you're a man. We know you're going to be king. We know all of this, but here's the female perspective. Now, are you going to be able to work with us as queen mothers, listen to us as queen mothers, and build with us as queen mothers? We're going to respect your position as the king.
Oh, definitely.
But we also have a place. We also have a say. And you saw the beauty and the balance in the ancient way of the woman or the women are not to be silent and heard. They're to be listened to, but they're also supposed to respect and honor and uplift that man, you know? And so there's just a lot going on in this design. So if you didn't know what all that was going on in that design, you gotta.
And you also, and you also have to remind him when he forgets why we're here. I think one of the most powerful lines in Wakanda is when one of the warriors was going to kill the man, and he was like, "My love, will you murder me?" She said, "For Wakanda," which is what the men built for Wakanda, without question. So he knows his homeland is always going to be secure after him. So there always has to be that reminder that I'm here with you, but I'm not going to let you destroy. It's bigger than us and just this. And we always have to keep that in mind. Always.
Beautiful. Well, I wanted to thank you guys for joining us. We have been talking about giving.
Yes.
Giving of yourself, giving of your talents, your time, giving from your heart, giving your truth, giving your energy, giving your purpose. All of these things, what are you sowing? What are you putting into this world? What are you putting into the lives of others? Because we should be planting seeds in each other, not just, worrying about our own garden, but actually tending the gardens of others. I'm going to tell you one little short story and we're going to leave. There was a school, and all the students were given balloons, and they were supposed to write their name on the balloon. And by the time they finished, when all the students walked out on this hallway and they put the balloons out, the whole hallway was filled with balloons. And then the teacher said, now the balloons have been, now they couldn't go very far because they were weighted. So they stayed on the ground. But the teacher said, okay, you let yours go. They went somewhere, find them. And they gave the kids 5 minutes. Nobody could find their own balloon. And they were like, okay, we're going to try something different. Go find the one closest to you and call that person's name. In about 20 seconds, everybody had their own balloon because they were willing to give service and give that person their balloon. So sometimes when we're only worried about our balloon, we keep looking and hunting and can't find it. And then when we say, you know what, I'm going to give some service, that person says, hey, weren't you looking for this? Hey, here you go. I can help you with that. Problem solved. So we are in the season of giving. Find a way to give. Give some thanks. Give some love. Give some service. Find a way to give. That's what we're here for. May you walk in Zenergy. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you. Give the gift of lift. Lift people up. Lift people up so when they look at your shirt, they look at your mug, they get an inspiring message. They're lifted.